Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit is blown out in New York in what is hopefully the worst loss of the season.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The word hope is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that sentence. That was an ugly, ugly loss by the Detroit Red Wings in this hockey game. And we will break it down on this episode of Locked On Red Wings. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Scotty, they lost 7-2. And for the first couple of minutes, I was like, okay, they got the forecheck back. They're playing pretty well. And from there, it was just downhill. They were awful from start to finish in this hockey game. And there's like a couple blips on the radar of like, I guess that's kind of neat. It's unfortunate with the timing of MBN's first point being in a game like this, but we'll talk about it. But it's one of those games, we talk about it, right? When things go so well, it's hard to talk about it. When things go this poorly, it's sometimes can be tough to talk about. And like I'm having trouble organizing my thoughts on even where to start with difference makers. But before we can get to that, I got to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Scotty, let's try and work our way through this just terrible loss by the Detroit Red Wings on the second half of a back-to-back where they already lost yesterday in a pretty poor performance. They came out and they laid an even bigger egg. What do you even have as a difference maker here?
So I do have one. It is a difference maker. These games are tough because there's a lot of difference makers. Everyone played super poorly, right? So my difference maker in this game is going to specifically be takeaways. Now, giveaways were actually fairly even, which surprised me. They're also like scorekeeping, giveaways, and takeaways can
how do you differentiate?
At times it's whatever. But the giveaways were relatively even. I think both teams were within one of each other. Takeaways, however, the Islanders had 6 takeaways. The Red Wings technically end with 2. However, they had 1 for pretty much the entire game, and they counted one of the takeaways they got with like 40 seconds left, when like emotions were high. I guess that was like closer to the very end, but like there was the hit, right? The Appleton hit before, like they counted one of those as a takeaway. And so for all intensive purposes, the Wings had literally 1 recorded, according to ESPN, takeaway to the Islanders 6. And when you are talking about 2 teams that were relatively equal on special teams, I mean, if anything, the Red Wings special teams was better than the Islanders special teams in this game. Shots were relatively even. Obviously, Talbot did not have a good night. I'm sure that's going to be, a difference maker for either you or somebody listening. But like, I think for a game in which so many other of like the box score stats were similar, takeaways were one that were very much not. And there were so many, just watching this game, countless times when, and I have a lot of thoughts running through my head. Obviously, I'm kind of going all over the place, but like, I also feel like this was a game in which the youth kind of showed that they're young and making mistakes. Like, I think that they were kind of responsible for a handful of those giveaways and takeaways. You saw the Islanders really with any pressure, the puck handler just coughed up the puck. Like, it didn't matter who it was. DeBrincat had a bad one. Marco Kasper had a couple of rough ones. It didn't even matter if there was pressure applied to a Red Wing that had the puck. the puck was just going to get lost one way or another, whether it was a giveaway or a takeaway. So that to me was the difference maker again in a game that has probably 15 different difference makers because everything was terrible. If I had to pick one, I would pick the fact that the Wings gave the puck away 6 times and didn't really take the puck back any times.
Yeah, I would even simplify that more and just say turnovers in general, whether it be takeaways or giveaways.
Because they still
like you
had
said,
10 giveaways.
Right.
I'm not saying that wasn't an issue. I'm just saying the Islanders also technically had 9 or 10 giveaways.
Well, and to your point, it's hard to differentiate between those two. So if you just simplify and say turnovers, you're throwing a blanket over it, and you're covering all your bases. Because it was a huge problem. Edvinsson, in his own right, I mean, we'll talk probably a little bit about him when it comes to notable performers, of course, and him for the wrong reasons. Had 2 huge ones. One led to him taking a penalty in the first period, and another one later on caused extended period of time in the defensive zone. Like Johansson had one at his own blue line where he held the puck and tried to tried to skate through 2 Islanders players, turned it over, and ended up being a breakaway goal, and that was Barzal's goal to make it 5-0. Like, you're right, the turnovers were a huge, huge problem in this hockey game. But it's not the only thing that went wrong, too. Like, defensive positioning was poor in this game. And, man, what is my difference maker? Like, what is my difference maker in a game where the Red Wings are my difference maker? They played like crap. Like, it's just, I guess I would say, if you had to twist my arm and make me pick one, I would just say defensive positioning, I suppose. Because that applies to both the forwards and the defense. Like, this is a game in which shots were fairly close throughout the entire game. I know Islanders took an early lead, but the Red Wings closed that, and the Red Wings ended up outshooting the Islanders by the end of the game. But if you watch the opportunities that both teams had, you wouldn't think this game was close, because anyone watching this game would know this game was not close, because the opportunities each team was giving up were night and day. The Red Wings were, on every single goal, was a massive failure defensively. There was Rasmussen and Appleton standing around in the defensive zone as, was it Pajot? Literally, I'm trying to keep track of it. Might have been Palmieri's goal. I don't even know anymore because so many goals were scored. It was Pajot's goal. It was that made it 3-0. Like, you had 2 forwards in the defensive zone just puck watching, and Pajot just streaks down the middle, and Talbot's, it's all alone on Talbot. I already mentioned the Albert Johansson turnover. That's a defensive lapse. There was a miscommunication between Seider and Ben Sherratt. That was Heineman's second goal to make it 6-1. But, of course, that also, there was no forward back checking. There was a failed Berggren back check that I think made it 1-0, or that may have been Heineman's first goal. I cannot even keep track. But, if it's a failed back check, it's 2 defenders miscommunicating or turning the puck over. Every single one of these goals was a hideous defensive lapse from a forward, from a defender, and then, of course, Cam Talbot. Now, and I want to say this carefully, because I understand we are goalie defenders, right, Scotty? We are goalie defenders. Cam Talbot was put in some really unforgiving situations in this hockey game. And by some, I mean multiple times. It was a 7-1 hockey game, and he was made 7-2 hockey game, and he was made to wear all 7 goals. But it's also fair to say that you should be able to depend on your goaltender to make a clutch save in those situations a couple of times per game. All 7? No, that'd be insane. Your team's got to do better. But in every single opportunity in which the Islanders had a 2-on-1 or a man alone, they finished every single time, which is crazy because last time he played on the road was against Toronto, and he played out of his mind. So while Talbot wasn't the problem per se, he also wasn't the solution either, because he was failing to come up with those big clutch saves when the Red Wings needed him to be able to bail them out. So it was just a complete failure from top to bottom by the Detroit Red Wings in this hockey game. And you go with turnovers, I think that's valid. I'm just going to go with defensive lapses in general, because they just they made it so easy on the Islanders.
30 different things that if somebody's like, oh, this, I'd be like, yeah, dude, like that sucks too. Yeah,
right.
You're totally right.
So anything to add to that, or should we just go to break?
You're right. I think defensive lapses are, I don't want to say a big issue, but I think it's one of those things where now we have a 9-game sample size, 8, 9 game sample
Eight.
size, and it's like
Eight.
the games in which they have struggled, they look similar, right? And I guess that's 2 losses or three losses and a win that they haven't looked very good, right? Like you could almost cut it in half at this point. I'm not sure that's like the most encouraging thing in the world, but when they look good, they look good. And so it's just, I think the defensive lapses are something that come with the territory of this new strategy that I'm sure people are annoyed of us talking about. However, I also think that there is no point in implementing this new strategy if you are going to have so many defensive lapses that it ends up being 5 to, you give up 5 goals anyway. Then that defeats the purpose of an aggressive forecheck. You might as well just go back to, hanging back and praying. Like, I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway is that going forward, we need to see more consistency in the results. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, what did we say at the beginning of the season, right before it began? It was like, this is going to be a boom or bust mentality with this team.
Right.
This aggressive forecheck's either going to result in oppressive play like we saw against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
And with the personnel,
minutes.
right? They're all young.
Right. Or it's going to result in games like this where they just, because they go all in, they give up a lot of opportunities. And I don't necessarily know if that's why they give up a lot of opportunities. I think they gave up a lot of opportunities today because they were just being boneheads, but I digress. Scotty, let's go to a break. When we return, I guess we'll talk about notable performers, but it's going to be hard to find any positive ones in a game like this. So stay tuned. Segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. The Red Wings just got blown out. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. Just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rougiette.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so that you know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Also got to talk to you guys today about Game Time. Hockey season is unfortunately here. If you're a Red Wings fan today, that's probably how you feel. And nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. The app that gives fans the advantage. It's the ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets, easy and stress-free. You can use Game Time for so many different types of events, concerts, and games. I've used them for both. The Game Time guarantee ensures that there is no hidden fees at checkout. You just toggle the pricing tool on, and their price is right there in front of you when you go to checkout. That's what you see. The zone deals are a game changer. If you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty, we got, unfortunately, a lot of players we want to get to in this game. But why don't we start with the beginning, the forward lines. We got a little bit of a forward line mix-up in this hockey game, and I kind of just want to get your thoughts on the lines as well as your thoughts on changing them up in general, because the Red Wings played pretty poorly 2 days ago by the time people are listening to this against the Buffalo Sabres. But I was a little surprised that it was poor enough to warrant a change from Todd McClellan that quickly after coming off a 5-game winning streak. We saw Lucas Raymond get sent, I wouldn't call it demoted, but put down on the second line to bring it up on the top line. Kopp on the other wing across from Casper. And then I believe it was Berggren, Comfer, and MBN on the third line. Rasmussen, Soderblom, and Appleton on the fourth line. I was really surprised, I think, mostly that they split up Raymond and Larkin.
To me, I mean, it's honestly, I can track the logic there like pretty easily. I don't know, like Kane is out, and so you're not married to DeBrincat on the second line, and Raymond's clearly playing hurt, so you're not married to him getting the most minutes on the first line. So I don't know. I really kind of tracked that. Like they have injuries, like, and like you know the blue line, Ben Sherratt missed however long in this game after he took a puck to the wrist. Edvinsson didn't play at the end of the game for it doesn't sound like injury reasons. Like I don't know, man. Like I think that they are trying to find a way to kind of patchwork it together until they're 100% again, and that's, I mean, honestly, kind of a slippery slope because you're never really at 100%. I'm not sure they'll be at 100% like ever again. Like that's just not how hockey works. So we'll see. But they gotta find their footing and find a set a lineup that they're confident in, and they really need Raymond to honestly get back to either playing 100% or take time off until he is at this point. Not that he looked like horrible out there, I guess, today, at least compared to the rest of the team. Like maybe today's a bad example just because everybody looked horrible. But I don't know, like is it really worth having him out there if he's going to be pretty unproductive and move down in the lineup anyway?
I guess not. I don't know. Raymond had 3 points in the 2 games since he returned, even playing at 50%. So it's not even as if he wasn't productive. And he looked a lot better in this game, I thought. The one thing I was keeping an eye on was his shot, because it was clearly his arm and his shoulder that was bothering him, and his right arm and right shoulder. And his shot got a lot better in this hockey game. So I feel like he's pretty close to 100%, maybe getting closer. I should say not pretty close, but getting closer. I don't think he was, while he was clearly not 100%, I don't think he was actively hurting the team either.
Like hurting the team. I wasn't trying to make it sound like he's just like standing there and is a traffic cone either.
You said he was a pylon. I heard you say it.
All I'm saying is I think they're going to continue to mix and match lines until either they feel like he and Kane are 100%, and then they'll just go back to what they were doing, or they find a combination that works in the meantime.
Another player that stood out to me in this game for negative reasons is one I already mentioned, but Simon Edvinsson. Terrible in this hockey game.
Yeah,
and
really rough.
I hate to use strong adjectives like that against players, especially young players, but there's no bones about it. This was probably the worst game I've ever seen him play as a Detroit Red Wing. He had 2 massive turnovers in the defensive zone that he was lucky didn't come back to bite him. At least I don't think either of them did. It's hard to remember after a while. Let's see. Edvinsson turned it over, and nope, they didn't score it on. And then the first one he had led to him taking a penalty, which was a penalty kill that the Red Wings were pretty dang good on.
Why is that a thing all of a sudden? Because like that was just last game against Buffalo. He was the guy who got the penalty, 30 seconds into the game too. Like I just, and it's 2 games like that. I don't think he's going to do it the rest of his career, but it's just, it's a weird blip. It's kind of out of nowhere. And it's led to 2, back-to-back pretty rough performances for him.
I mean, part of it's probably just age, right? Like he's still a very young player who's growing, but also he's got a new defensive partner, one that maybe he feels. I thought ASP, nobody played well in this game, but he didn't stand out to me as a sore point in this game. It was mostly Edvinsson in this hockey game that was like the glaring problems that he made. 2 penalties.
The third pair was also an atrocity yet again.
Right.
Aljo had two takeaways. One directly led to a goal, like literally off his
Right.
blade onto an Islanders stick, and then immediately in the back of the net, he turned it over at the blue line and then just couldn't get back in time and broke his stick over the crossbar. Like, I think that's going to continue to be a storyline, is how stable the bottom four can be. We at this point we trust Seider. Sherratt is what he is, but he can at least be a stable veteran up top. It's all going to be a question of, is the third pair going to be, I guess, serviceable in its minutes, and is the second pair going to be good enough to take and alleviate any sort of pressure off of the top pair? And in this game, neither of those things happened. The second pair was brutal, and the third pair was just as bad, I would say. So,
yeah. Edvinsson got benched in the third period. He did not play like the last 10 minutes of that hockey game.
Yeah, that's
at
crazy.
Least. That's
really
how poor.
wild.
Like, to get benched, you have to play very badly. Scott, let's head to another quick break. When we return, we'll wrap up this conversation. Probably have a very abbreviated preview for the St. Louis Blues with the pace that this is going. Stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You're going to love using FanDuel because of so many ways you can play. You can build parlays, try player props, and even follow the live lines during the game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Scotty, another player that stood out to me for bad reasons is Michael Rasmussen. And again, similar to Simon Edvinsson, it's back-to-back games where, Rasmussen hasn't necessarily looked good in any of the games that they've played, but at least he was not noticeable earlier in the season for bad reasons. But the last two games, I really feel like he's just been pretty ineffective as a fourth line, either center or wing or whatever they have him in. And it's really disappointing because, and again, 8 games into a season, but it's really disappointing because this is a guy that we know has more in him. But it just kind of feels like a lot of the shifts right now result in, best case scenario, a lot of nothing, and worst case scenario, getting to pucks late, losing board battles, resulting in chances against. Not engaged defensively, which led to a goal as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the style and the way that he plays, and I guess more specifically the way that he skates, it just is more beneficial to long term, like, bail on him playing up the middle. I
don't know why they still have him at center.
I don't think that benefits really. The only benefit that you have there is the fact that you can then have Kopp and Comfer playing in the middle six, I guess, or on the third line specifically, together. Like, I guess, but I don't think he is a dynamic enough skater, just like straight up, to be able to man center even on a fourth line, 9 to 12 minutes a night role. I think we need to consider pulling the plug on that.
Right. I mean, good news is Danielson is possibly available for Grand Rapids as soon as this weekend. So hopefully he can get up to speed really fast and take a spot in this lineup, because he was close before he got hurt. Because the Red Wings, coming into the season, I thought that they were going to be fine at center just because you'd have Copper Comfer at 4C, but they're sticking to one of them at wing, so you still need a 4C. So got to figure that spot out. Alex DeBrincat continues to just be snake bitten. I mean, he got...
I don't even know if that's like his fault. That stick stave is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. So, and
yesterday, Colton Ellis made an incredible backdoor blocker save too. Like, it's to a point where, like, the luck's going to fall his way, and he's going to pop off. He's going to score like 6-7 goals, right? Like in quick succession in several games, because He's been so close. And I mean, this is like the conversations we had 2 years ago. But 2 years ago, he was missing the net. This is not him missing the net. He's hitting his spots, but goaltenders are just making incredible saves. So, I mean, DeBrincat again doesn't get a goal. He's now scoreless through the first 8 games, and I think they said on the broadcast that he has never gone more than 3 games in his career without a goal, and he's gone 8 to start the season. He did, however, pick up an assist on a Dylan Larkin's goal, so he is still accumulating points. He's nearly a point per game, even without a goal, similar to how Lucas Raymond started last year. But, I mean, with DeBrincat, it feels like a matter of time. You know that it's going to come. It's just, it sucked that it's taken this long because a lot of the scoring then falls upon Dylan Larkin, who, yet again, scored in this hockey game, extended his point streak to 8 straight games to start the year.
Yeah, and thank goodness. Because, there's, he's really good at his job. And, I don't know, man. I obviously we're not in the locker room. I have no idea, but I think the way that, at least on the bench, that he continues to be engaged even when it's 7-1 and is trying to point out things to the young players and they're looking at plays on the iPad and whatever with the rookies and stuff. I think that I think that that's at least admirable and is something that you want out of your captain at a minimum, along with obviously a point in literally every single game this season.
Which is nice. And that goal was on the power play too. So the power play does get back on the score sheet after being cold. They go 1 for 5 in this hockey game. So, ideally in that you get that many power plays, you score more than one, but I'll take what I can get. Emmett Finney showed some incredible patience on that goal too. He got that puck along the half wall and he just waited it out. He waited and he waited and waited until somebody was able to get into a spot where he could find him. So Emmett Finney with that primary assist ties Matthew Schaefer for rookie lead in points. So Emmett Finney that's now a 3-game point streak for him, I believe. And now he had a 3-point night. He scored another goal. So it's 5 points in 3 games for Emmett Finney. He's catching a little bit of fire here for the Detroit Red Wings. Unfortunately, because nobody else is catching fire, they're still losing games regardless.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I guess you're right though. For what it's worth, that is something you can hope to carry on into the next game.
Right. Scotty, do you think that Michael Brandsegg-Nygard's first NHL point was the saddest first career point you've ever witnessed?
Trying to think if that's true. Might be, man. It's up there.
Literally, I watched it happen.
They didn't even mention it until 5 minutes after it happened.
I'm watching the play and I go, I think MBN just got his first point because he made the initial pass. And I watched the replay. I'm like, oh yeah. So I added it in my little posting. Nobody on social media mentions it. I'm watching the broadcast and nobody on the broadcast is mentioning it. So I was like, did I see it wrong? Did I just tweet out misinformation? Did I tell people that MBN got his? And I'm watching again. I'm like, no, he did. Why is nobody talking about this? And I know nobody's talking about it because it's 7-2.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody cares. But then finally, minutes later, the broadcast is like, oh yeah, NBN got his first career point. So I mean, congratulations to NBN. I feel for you, man, that it came in a game like this, but hopefully that gets the motor running for Michael Brandsegg-Nygard.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, again, it's tough, right? It's tough in this game when really nothing went right, but good for him. Hopefully he, I don't know, gets the puck.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm waiting for the picture because with first goals, first points, they always do the picture with people who were on the points. And so I'm really curious to see, will they even try to smile or they just be like,
you gotta just you're
gotta
5
smile.
and 3. It's okay.
And then 20 years when you look back at that photo, you're not going to remember the game. You're gonna look at that picture and go,
well, you're probably going to remember the game.
Yeah, you're probably going to remember the game.
No, but I get your point. You're going to remember the emotion of having your first point, not the emotion of losing. Yes.
I mean, his emotion was probably shh, crap.
Right.
This game. But it was Berggren's
really
first.
Now?
It was Berggren's first goal of the season. Yeah, really now is probably the emotion that he had. Berggren got his first goal of the season on that one as well. So Penalty kill went perfect again, 3 for 3. Penalty kill
We'll
is
take it.
when you talk about, obviously we've talked like little bitty moments, right? Like Larkin's point streak, Emmett Finney staying hot. Like those are cool, like individual things. But if you want the one thing from this game that is a positive team-wise, it's that the penalty kill is 3 for 3. This penalty kill is electric to start the season, and that is going to be huge going forward if the Detroit Red Wings can find their consistency at 5-on-5. Because how much good does a penalty kill do going 3 for 3 when you allow 7 5-on-5 goals? So you find a little bit of consistency at 5-on-5, and then the PK will be a factor in kind of getting you the rest of the way.
Well, I think there's just consistency top to bottom, right? I mean, that's kind of what we talked about earlier.
Right.
Like, for as much as we're excited about this this newfound, methodology, it's still something that they've played 8 games, and you could argue 4 of them didn't really go very well in that regard. So,
Yeah, I mean, the first game against Montreal, it's weird, too, because you look at the analytics in this hockey game, right, Scotty? Red Wings had a 60% expected goal share and a 62% shot attempt share. Like, this is a perfect example of how advanced analytics should be used supplementally and not as the primary source of your argument.
Yes, but you're right, obviously. But it's you have to remember what it is telling you. This isn't just like, oh, the Wings deserve to win, because like 64% of the time. Like it is telling you the information that it is supposed to be telling you. It's just that kind of stuff doesn't account for a defensive breakdown that leads to a 2-on-0. Like,
yeah, it lacks context.
That's still one shot in the eyes of that thing, right? Like that it's just it's a lot different of a shot than, something you push to the outside and you have a good defensive day for. So yeah, it's all contextual, and you just got to understand what you're reading. That's all.
Right. Scotty, St. Louis Blues on Saturday, back home. Patrick Kane going to be reevaluated prior to the game, so he may be back, he may not be back. We have yet to learn. I mean, just get out there and play a better game. I mean, what else is there to preview, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's Gibson.
I would imagine too.
I think that's hot take. I think it's probably Gibby. I think. Yeah, I mean, you're really just hoping for. Well, best case scenario is Kane's available, but that seems like kind of a crapshoot at this point. Special teams continue to do well on the PK, maybe get back on the horse with the power play. They did score a power play goal in this game, so I guess that's something.
What was that horse's name?
The horse's name is Friday, obviously. And then, yeah, like I think it's about consistently finding your footing. Like the fact that they have looked so sluggish at the start of the last 2 games in a row is really disheartening. So I think that you're just kind of hoping for, like, even if they don't like go out there and dominate and win by 10 goals, like I just want to see a good first period would be a nice start, because it's been 3-4 games since we've even seen that.
Yeah. Red Wings are a top 10 team in Corsi unexpected goals percentage, for what it's worth, Scotty, which is crazy to see. St. Louis
just can't help yourself, man.
We begged for it for so long for this team to like finally outshoot opponents, and they do, but like in the ugliest way. Like, how do you outshoot your opponents and have and I guess expected goals at the end of the day is like a quantity stat too, because it builds based on how many shots you have.
Right.
But like, I just don't get how they outperformed them in those analytics and still were just dominated when you watch this hockey game. Like going into this game, this recording, and not having looked at it, I would not have guessed that it looked that skewed. The St. Louis Blues are 10th in expected goal share. They're a good hockey team. They're not a bad hockey. They're not a great hockey team, but they're not a bad hockey team either. And I find it hard to get into a full breakdown of the strengths and weaknesses of the St. Louis Blues after 2 back-to-back ugly losses, especially with the second one being even uglier. Just go out there and play some hockey. Like, actually play some hockey. That's all I got.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We'll be back with a new episode on Monday, recapping the game against the St. Louis Blues, so stay tuned for that. Same time. Oh, sorry. Any final thoughts?
Oh, we ball. We do.
Same time.
Still, believe it or not.
Sometimes it's harder to believe, but we do ball. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.